Hello and welcome to Seeing Things Differently and to the first video on this brand new channel. My name is Alicia, and for this first video I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself and share with you why I've decided to create this channel. I'm a young carer for somebody with a neurodegenerative condition, and unfortunately that means that the person is not going to get better. I became a young carer at a very young age, and my mum still had to work in order to support our family. This meant that my younger brother and I both had to step up and help take care of our dad, who isn't very well. It was an incredibly confusing experience, especially at that age, and I never really felt like anybody understood what I was feeling or thinking. It was very hard to explain to friends at school and to my teachers what exactly was going on at home. I started to feel really alone and quite isolated. I wasn't sure how to reach out for help or even where to start looking for help. I did eventually start going to therapy and I found it really useful for me, but I still wish that more people understood what it actually means when you are a young carer. I think being a carer of any kind is one of the hardest jobs in the world, and that's made even harder when the person that you're caring for is someone you love very much, like a parent or family member. So a little bit of information about me. My father was diagnosed with something called posterior cortical atrophy, or PCA, in 2011 when I was 14 years old. Now, PCA is an atypical or uncommon form of dementia. It predominantly affects people's vision and spatial awareness instead of their memory, which is usually preserved until the later stages. This means it's not quite the same as the Alzheimer's or the dementia that your grandparents might have had. PCA and other types of uncommon or atypical dementia can often start before the age of 65, and this means that people still have young families and they might still be working when they get their diagnosis. I won't go into PCA too much right now, as I would like to make a video specifically about caring for someone with PCA in the future. I'm now 23 years old, and after spending a lot of time supporting my family in my father's care, I decided I wanted to go to university. I studied psychology at a university in the UK, and I was very interested in learning more about the human mind and how it works. But most importantly, I wanted to learn and understand as much as I could about my father's condition. I know not everybody feels the same, and that's perfectly okay. We all have different ways of dealing with things. But for me, the more I understood, the less anxious and stressed I felt. So it became easier for me to separate my dad from his illness and actually see him as the person that he was before he got sick. I graduated last year, unfortunately in the middle of the pandemic, but I now have a wonderful job working for an organisation whose aim is to support and educate people who've received a diagnosis of rare dementia, as well as their family, friends and other carers. I have a great support network, loving family and friends, and lots of hobbies and a creative outlet that keep me active and busy. I understand so much more about what my dad has been and still is experiencing. And I really wanted to be able to find a space in which I could share that knowledge and hopefully show other young carers that there really is a light at the end of the tunnel. So why have I made this channel? Well, I made this channel because when my dad started to get worse and deteriorate, there was an increasing amount of pressure on me and my family. We all became carers, and at times I found it almost impossible to actually be able to pitch in and help. I was studying for my GCSE and A-level exams at the time, and if you're not from England, those are the exams that you sit between the ages of 14 and 18. So this meant I had lots of homework, lots of studying, and really not much time to myself at all, because the time I did have free was probably spent looking after dad and making sure he was okay. If you're a young carer too, I'm sure you'll understand what I mean when I say that even if things are unmanageable and you feel like you just can't do it, you probably don't have a choice and you're going to have to just step up and do it anyway. It was so much to try and balance, and I often felt crushed and actually really depressed. I was losing my father in front of my own eyes, and there just didn't seem to be any support for young people in my position. There were lots of young carers groups on Facebook, Twitter, and even some run by my local council, but they were all for 18 to 25-year-olds. Now, that just didn't make sense to me because I was 14 or 15 and my brother even younger than that, and I couldn't access support. When I did eventually find a local support group that I was welcomed into for young carers, there was nobody there that understood what PCA was, and this made it really difficult for me because I found myself constantly having to explain what that meant for my dad and what that meant for me as a carer. It wasn't just making dinner, tidying up, making sure the house was organized before mum got home. No, it was a full-time job and the parental roles were completely reversed. The fact that it took me such a long time and a lot of effort to find a support group made me feel even more alone. I started to think that my family must be the unluckiest family in the whole world and that nobody was ever going to understand what I was feeling or what I was dealing with. I wanted to just close off, and of course, that meant that my mental health suffered. I know how dark it can get when you're pushed to those limits and when you're feeling alone. And so I just really wanted to make sure that people like me, young carers who are in the same position that I was a few years back, really have that space to connect, to share, to feel safe letting those emotions out. And I don't think it's right that anybody should have to wait until a certain age to get the right support or feel understood. And so I wanted to create something where young people could learn about rare dementia, learn about what it really means to be a young carer and the responsibilities that come with that, and to understand that you really aren't alone. There are others out there in the same or similar positions. So I would really love for this channel to be guided by what other young carers would like to see, hear, understand. And if you have suggestions, please leave them in the comments section below or connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, email, or Twitter. I will leave all of the links to those social media accounts in the description bar below. I'm not a young carer for someone with dementia. Can I still subscribe? Of course, this channel is really intended to be for everyone. There will be some videos that are more specific to rare dementia, but this space is for any young carers. You're welcome here, no matter who you care for. If you're over 18 and a carer, or even if you're not a carer at all, please click that subscribe button if you'd like to understand and learn more about the challenges and the high points of a caring role. My goal is that every single person who visits this channel will be able to take away something positive. If you're a parent, teacher, aunt, or just a super fantastic friend who really wants to learn how to support a young carer, then this is also the right place for you. What can I expect from this channel? As I said, I would really love to hear your suggestions for content on this channel, but just a few of the things you can expect to see from future videos include dealing with a difficult diagnosis, how to let your teachers, friends, and even family members know what you're going through, where you might be able to access support, what happens when a loved one can't be cared for at home anymore, what it means to be a young carer, and dealing with the difficult emotions that can arise. There will also be specific content for young carers who look after someone with a rare dementia diagnosis like posterior cortical atrophy or frontotemporal dementia or primary progressive aphasia. These will include tips on helping out your loved one at home, understanding how they see the world, and understanding more about their condition in general. Now, you might find that some of these videos cover difficult material, but I will always let you know in advance if the content might be a little bit sensitive. It's up to you to decide how much you would like to engage. So all that's left to say now is thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being part of this very first video and this brand new channel. I really want to invite you to join this safe space to learn and grow and understand. And hopefully we can all encourage each other to see things differently and have a more positive outlook, even in difficult situations. Remember to like and subscribe, and most importantly, share this video with any young carers that you know or anyone that you think might gain something from this channel. It is a super tough job being a carer, so why don't we share this journey together?